Well, we're here with Brian Wang, and Brian is excited. Well, I don't
Mhm.
know how excited he is. Brian, are you ready to get your 14.1.2?
Yes, I've been waiting for it. I expect it hopefully in the this next week.
So I said this morning, okay, Chuck Cook convinced me. Well, I didn't take much convincing, but Chuck Cook said that he will eat his hat if unsupervised doesn't happen by December.
Okay.
Based on his driving the 14.1.2 now for the last, well, 14.2 for 2 or 3 days, and then the previous one. He says, look, it's ready to go. And so he thinks that we will be seeing unsupervised, which is, of course, my core. Sure, I want lots of robo taxis out there, but I have believed for a long time that once we have unsupervised,
Mhm.
Tesla won't be able to make enough cars again.
Right, right.
And that's my kind of my theory. So what do you think?
Well, that'd be huge. I think a lot of the people who have seen the 14 flavors, although there was some initial, rough patches with brake stabbing and that it was a next level capability. So I'm eager to see it and getting everything completely done. Um,
So in case people forget why I think this is going to be so important, it's because of word of mouth.
mm,
So word of mouth has always been a deal.
mm,
And Elon believes we don't need to advertise because we got word of mouth.
mm.
Well, if I have my FSD right now, I go and show somebody and they're pretty impressed. And I sometimes, but I don't really show it that much because I've shown it to them before and it's a little bit better. But
Mm.
if I can take them on a ride where I'm sitting in the back seat
Mhm. Yeah,
with them while the car is driving itself,
right,
that's going to be worth taking my friends out again
right.
and showing them what it can do. And I think that is going to be enough of a stimulus for a lot of people that's like, okay, I got to have this.
And it's also getting everything completely finished off because um, when you start it up from parked, it works, but then not always the best in all situations.
Right.
Getting, you know, stopping and parking, getting that to park where you want it to get into the garage, like being able to like completely not touch and restart anything at all is something that is I think super useful.
I think also, even now, I mean, when we get our 14.1.2 or whatever it's going to be going wide, taking your friend out and just taking him through the line at McDonald's would be kind of fun to show them that it just does it perfectly. It knows when to stop, knows when to start up again at each window. I mean, it's craziness. It's unbelievable what they're doing.
Right. So if they can, finish off those last parts of it so that it completely works,
Yeah,
then that would be, a game changer
game
for,
changer. So I don't know. Do you think that Chuck Cook was responsible for today's action on the market? Because we're sitting at 439.58 again. We were as low as I think 422 this morning, weren't we?
I think it was
420,
mainly,
423.60, and we're all the way back to 440. So I'm thinking it's Chuck Cook.
I think it was Trump saying that that 100% tariffs are more sustainable. So basically taking the China trade stuff down a notch.
I didn't
Uh,
know that, but that helped the whole market.
that helped the whole market.
That helped the whole market, but the Dow's only up 7.74
Right.
and the Nasdaq's only up 0.71, but Tesla's up 2.59. So when
Right.
I see that, that usually means there's something going on at Tesla.
So yeah, so it could be Chuck Cook. It could also be that we're um, 3 days away from the third quarter earnings call.
Right.
So we were trading down, and then we could see rising into
Yeah.
today, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday until the earnings call. That could be where we move up.
We've had a bunch of people now give increases or decreases in their price targets. And we've had
Mhm.
two new companies start to cover Tesla, which is interesting, just in the last week. And so there's a lot of excitement, I think, as we're getting closer and closer here. One of the things that's being said a lot, which also is probably impacting the stock price right now, a bunch of these analysts are saying that they're betting on a beat
Mhm.
because the street is still at 55 cents.
Right.
You and I have talked about it before that we're
75 or something, yeah.
you're at 75. Grok said 88.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
Grok was specifically told me
Mhm.
that he was not taking into consideration the ZEV credits going away,
Mhm.
or part of them.
Right.
So I'm taking off a dime for that. So I
Mhm.
think our number, 75 cents, 78, 70,
Yeah.
and again, there's other things that could impact it that we can't ever know until the day. But
Mhm.
I think I think this is a good shot.
Yep. I think there's a good chance that we surprise on the high side. That there's a lot of good energy numbers, and then the other um, production numbers were good. So I think upside surprises are definitely possible.
So then people are worried about the fourth quarter. So that's one of the biggest things when you look at these analysts, they're saying, well, look, they had a great third quarter, but how are they ever going to pull it off in the fourth quarter? And you and I have talked about that before on the channel, and we both agree there's all these new products, all these new cars that are possible. But there was, the one thing that's kind of the biggest unknown and has a bigger impact than the cars do, and that's energy storage again. It's a way bigger impact if we go from, say, 12.5 to 16.
Mhm.
That would be an even bigger impact this quarter than last quarter.
Right.
So I'm looking at, so I asked Grok. See, I ask Grok everything now.
Mhm.
We're
Yeah.
best buds. I mean, we're really
Yeah.
best buds. So
Yeah.
I asked Grok, I said, when is the Chinese plant supposed to be fully ramped?
Mhm.
I've seen different things and heard different things. I thought it was by the end of the year, and Grok says, yeah, by the end of the year.
Mhm.
So that's what Grok was able to determine. So if it's fully ramped by the end of the year, I don't think it's unrealistic to think that 5 GWh could come out of Grok. I'm sorry, out of China,
Right.
along with 10 from California and one
Nevada.
from walls, from the power walls.
Powerwalls. Nevada. Yeah.
Right. So so there's your 16
Right.
up from 12 and a half. That
Yep.
could be a big help to the fourth quarter.
Right. And also the VP of Tesla Shanghai, Grace Tao,
Yeah.
was talking about increased production starting in Q4 for Tesla Shanghai. But there's a bit of confusion there. Like some people are saying that things have already been done to increase production, and other than, like Grace Tao seem to be indicating that they'll start working upon it. But it doesn't sound like it'll take that long for them to happen. But that's one of those things where the potential to have substantial unbox process capabilities to radically increase production um, is something that would hugely impact Tesla's capabilities. That if they increased from like 1 million cars per year out of Shanghai up to 1.5 or 2 million,
Mhm.
then that would be huge. And that would, which we could see early on would be that they could make all the demand for YL, which we
Mhm.
know there's a very strong demand for it. You could easily sell, 5,000, even 10,000 per week.
Right.
And if that was mostly additive to the 20,000 per week that you get from Y and the
Right.
3, then you could get to 30,000 per week, get to the 1.5 million in a hurry, even before launching lower priced 3s and Ys, which are supposedly coming in the first quarter, first half in China um, for for um, um, for the lower priced version that they're having, which sounds like they're going to make it even more low cost than the standard version. That they're going to make a new version around
Yes,
that.
I think that's almost for me anyway. So far, I've only seen that kind of at the rumor stage,
Mm.
that they're going to revisit or go back to the plan that they had earlier for this compact car,
Mm.
at least for China. No statement about whether it's going to be available in other parts of the world or not. But yeah, I mean that would be, I think that a smaller car for China would almost undoubtedly sell. Um, what? So let me ask you a question. Do you care how many cars they have? Do you care how many different varieties of the equipment, the different kinds of styles and models and all this? Or is it for you, is it now all about FSD and robotaxi? Because if they've got unsupervised FSD It
Mhm.
doesn't matter what the form factor is. Everybody's going to want one.
True, but I want it all. I want
Not at all.
F-50 unsupervised, all robotaxi, and I want them making huge amounts of cars because it's everything's compounding. That if you got unboxed process with Tesla bots
Right.
in the factory increasing production, I want them to be able to shove out 10 million cars a year out of those factories. That you could, that the unbox process could make, one car every 10 seconds. And then if you have Tesla bots in there and everything's going even faster, then you could have like 2 million, 3 million cars per line. And you have multiple lines in Shanghai, Austin, Berlin, and the United States that then you could, pretty much take over that. But like I view the increased car production as one of um, the main products of Tesla Bot.
Yeah.
The Tesla Bot with Unboxed, the factory is a product too that you can then go up 4 times, 5 times, right? So I want to see that happen because that's how I see the huge profitability of the Tesla Bot. Also the difference between Tesla and Figure AI.
Mhm.
Because Figure AI, fine, they can make their bots too, but they're working with BMW, they're working with the other companies, and those other companies cannot change their lines. Tesla was changing their lines for a number of years
Because
so that they can make huge amounts of cars. So that I want the multiplier to be um, 4 times more productive cars because FSD is driving them 4 times more, right? And I want Tesla Bot and Unbox process to increase the number of cars before 5 times. So
and
that combined
and lower the cost.
and lower the cost and get to 16 times
Right.
more. 4 times is great. It's a huge difference that can happen right away to awaken the cars, and then that takes us up to, $2,000, $3,000 per share. But then getting that next multiplier takes us up to um, $20 trillion. Gets us to Elon's full comp package,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I want that to happen in just a few years instead of waiting a long time.
All right. So this is one of the ones that again I've started this a few weeks ago. Nobody's really been talking about it, and that is the whole business of when does the steering wheel come out of all cars? So China and Europe will have their own, rules and
Regulatory, yeah.
regulations and all that kind of stuff. I would imagine some of the other countries maybe will be, easier. Australia, maybe South Korea, Japan. I don't know. But let's look at the United States. We got Duffy in there. We've got the president. We got Trump should be on our side. So with Duffy and Trump, how soon do you think the United States will stop putting steering wheels in any cars?
I think it would be 6 to 12 months after you can deactivate the steering wheel. So that if you deactivate the steering wheel where I don't want you to
Touch it.
turn it and mess things up, right? Um, so once you do that, but where it's can be reactivated as needed, right? Then once that's been in place for a number of months, then I can see, okay, now I can remove them, right?
Okay.
But I don't see them removing it until you kind of like have it deactivated for a while.
I see. Okay. All right. And when do you think?
Um, I could see the activation happening anytime from the initial phases of it, December and Q1, where,
Wow.
if no, well, the initial phases of saying, okay, it's unsupervised,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That was the Chuck
Yeah.
Cook
Yeah.
scenario
Yeah.
first. So
Right.
that's phase one,
Okay.
right? Phase unsupervised.
Right.
And then going to deactivating would probably be middle of next year,
Mhm.
right? Where you could deactivate in certain situations like in Austin or in
Right.
the boring tunnels or wherever, right? So you can deactivate in certain situations, and then 6 months after that, you can deactivate in virtually all situations where you're regulatory allowed, and then after 2027, you can say, okay, now we can start removing. So probably like 2028, you know.
Okay, so you're 100%. You just nailed. So Jeff Lutz, you and I are precisely aligned.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so, so there you go.
Mhm.
We just need one more person, and we'll know it's true.
Okay.
Let's see. Um, let's see. I also. Oh no, I told you that. Fed governor. Okay, let's talk about the general economy. The Fed governor, one of the Fed governors over the last couple of days said that it would take, if you take out the tariff impact on the inflation numbers that the CPI and PCE are giving us, then
Mhm.
we're very near the 2% level.
Okay.
Now, I've been saying that if you take the 2.7 instead of the 2.9 and subtract what Powell said, which is zero point 0.4 for the tariffs, you'll be down around 2.3 to 2.5. So that squares with what he's saying.
Mhm.
This would tell me, and that there is no structural reason for it to go higher.
Mhm. Right.
No structural reason for it to go higher. Now, it's just one governor's opinion,
Right.
but I think that's what they're looking at right now when they're saying, no, inflation isn't our biggest deal right now.
Right.
It's making sure the jobs don't start sliding down.
Right.
So for everybody that's out there, so many of these pundits, so many of these analysts, and even ones that don't have an axe to grind and aren't even trying to hurt Trump, they're
Mhm.
still, oh, inflation, inflation.
Yeah.
But Trueflation says we're at 2.2.
Right.
And that's before you take away the zero point 0.4.
Right.
So what do you think?
Well, we are definitely, like all the markets are indicating that we'll have the two quarter point cuts, like, so what, like in a week,
Yep.
quarter
Two
point
weeks.
cut,
2 weeks.
2 weeks, and then December, another quarter point cut, right? So that's pretty much all baked in. I think the question of like not cutting in December is, I think, off the table
Right.
based upon the numbers,
Right.
right? So then we were expecting them to pause or not do much anyway in the first quarter. And then you're butting right up to May. So whether Powell does a last cut before he goes out the door, it's like, who cares? Powell won't matter. By May, you'll have a new person. June, you start four cuts or whatever, from the new guy,
Mhm.
right? And then, we're at, you know, they 200 basis points down from where we are. So going from like 425, whatever, down to 200. So we'll head down to that number. And then it just depends upon like what's all in the market next year.
Sure. I mean, obviously there could be something that nobody's paying attention to that could all of a sudden come up and create a problem.
Mm.
So the second thing on my list was that Trump over the next 2 weeks will see Putin, Xi,
Mm.
and possibly Kim Jong-il.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
So I think we've just hopefully solved Israel. He also is hinting that Saudi Arabia will be joining the Abraham Accords. And now
Mm.
he's going to be seeing these guys, for sure, Xi and Putin.
Right.
He's been on the phone with Putin and Zelensky over the last 2 days, today and
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Are we getting close to having, like getting the, what do you call it in hockey?
Hat trick. And
The hat trick. Are we getting close to having a hat trick here?
I think so. I think that he's the Russia. I think the one of the main things is that they've Ukraine has taken out 10% of their refining capacity, and then impacted a lot of their other oil production capability, and that I think is related. Them talking now is that if Trump gives them the cruise missiles, Tomahawk cruise missiles,
Yeah.
then those would hit the oil infrastructure,
Yeah.
right? So that would remove the money, right? So I think that is what would make take the war to another level for Russia. That they would their economy would be pretty wrecked because of that. The interesting thing is that we've taken out 10% of the refining capacity and a bunch of the oil production, maybe a third, and oil prices have not gone up. So the
Yeah.
production from the Middle East and from the United States is offsetting that production.
Right.
And also there's possibly changing the regime in Venezuela.
Right.
So it's kind of like he's saying going for as
Yeah,
selling all family business, as the Godfather would say, right?
yeah, right.
So so it's looking like he's going to push and make it happen. That he's going for the results. It's not if it if she or Putin somehow resist it, it won't be because maximum pressure was not applied.
Right. Right. Yeah,
Right.
definitely maximum pressure is being applied. There
Right.
seems to be no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And of course, if Russia can be um, brought back into the circle of peaceful nations, if China can kind of get over the tariff thing and that kind of all goes away, that's going to leave Kim Jong-il and
Kim Jong-un, isn't it?
I'm sorry.
In the Kim Jong-il, his dad? I forget.
Oh,
Uh,
was it? Yeah, King
Kim
Jong
Jong-un, I think
Un,
is.
Un, yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll leave Kim and Iran as like the two out, well, Venezuela, but
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about North Korea and Iran. That'll leave them as the outliers. So
But the thing is, they're really dependent upon, Russia and China,
sure,
or certainly China in terms
right,
of financial capability.
right.
So if the deal occurs with China, I think those others fall away too. And it's, I think Venezuela was always fragile. Like it was
Yeah.
only because there was they weren't applying pressure, that they were propping them up,
Mhm,
that they were being held. And Iran's already been knocked down several pegs.
mhm,
So, I don't think they're a concern. And um, North Korea by itself is not
yeah,
a threat.
yeah,
So it's basically Russia and China. If that happens, then the rest becomes easy. And it's already pretty easy, I think, too. That yeah, and I think for Russia, it's just a question of, you know, you know, does how much is Putin willing to go in terms of like having his oil production brought down?
mhm, mhm.
Because that's the question. And then if it's brought down, that also impacts China as well, because China was a major buyer of Russian oil. So if they can't get extra cheap oil from Russia,
Mhm.
that changes the equation as well. So it's basically that Trump looks at wherever the the point of leverage is, and he applies a pressure in order to make the difference between you're on my good side, you're on my bad side, as wide as possible, so that people say, okay, well, that's really bad. I would want to go over here, right? So, but it does go to like if you're crazy and willing to tolerate pain of being way over here,
Right.
of like suffering a lot, having oil and gas production, all that kind of stuff, you can stay there as long as you can endure the pain,
Yeah.
right? And then it's a question like, does it um, break things economically within Russia? And then China, I think there's um, mutual gain to be had. I think the mutual gain to be had for both of them, where if we're all on the good side,
Yeah.
we can disarm, we can do a bunch of things that'd be good for everyone.
100%. So the other thing that China has been impacting has been the price of gold.
Mhm.
I gave my call last week.
Yeah,
I said that we would see
4,000,
4,000, I'm sorry,
4,000.
3,400 before we would see 4,400.
Yeah.
We got, I think, to 4,750, no, 4,375 or something. And I'm sitting there going, wait, wait, wait. And then it dropped like a rock.
Mhm.
Do you think that that also is partially due to the China tension coming down? Because
Um,
China's been buying up gold like crazy.
right.
So if the tension comes down between the United States and China, China might not need to be buying so much gold.
You're right, but I think it's a temporary thing.
Okay.
That gold coming down is temporary because we have not solved the money printing of all countries,
Mhm.
right? That the U.S. I think we just came in and finished the fiscal year, so we had like 1.7 trillion
Mhm.
dollars of debt
Mhm.
versus I think down to 100
Of deficit.
of deficit. Yeah, the deficit. Yeah, and then which was like maybe 100 billion down from Biden's last year. So turning around, because I think before we were projecting that we're going to increase. So all this maneuvering around tariffs and other things has resulted in a reduced deficit, right?
So here's even more excitement on top of that. I did an analysis of the last 4 months.
Okay.
I said, I asked Rock, how much is the deficit? How much deficit have we incurred over the last 4 months, which would be the time that Trump has really had an impact.
Right.
Okay. And would you believe it's only about 400 billion?
Okay.
I'm sorry, 300 billion.
Okay.
Times 4, if you can annualize it, now you're talking about 1.2 trillion.
Right.
As opposed to 1.7 trillion or whatever.
Right.
I'm doing that wrong. I should get my numbers up because I think it was the opposite. It was like,
if it was 4 months times 3, so then it would be.
I wonder if I could pull it up. I bet you I have it close enough that I could pull it up here because I'm doing it wrong. It's even better than that.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
But if you look for that, I think that the issue is that we're still, in terms of gold prices and stuff, is that all the countries still have a lot of debt, and we're still printing money in order to broadly pay that debt. So then, if we're printing, 2 trillion now, cutting it back, hopefully to 1 trillion, that's still $1 trillion every year. That's still an upward force on the price of gold, a downward thing on the dollar.
Right.
And so then, if all other countries, no one has surpluses and that kind of stuff to balance it out, then we're all money printing for the fiat paper currency.
Right.
So then all of our currencies are weakening. If the general, like a long-term decay, right? So then, just like gold's gone from, $300 to 4,000, right? Over the last 50 years, that's something where over the next 20, you would say, okay, it's going to go to 10,000 to 20,000.
Oh, okay. I was looking more short term.
Right.
So here's the number.
Yeah.
The improvement, that's what it was. The improvement over last year for that 4-month period, 363 billion better.
Yeah.
So 363 times 3, because 4 months, 363 times 3, you got over a $1 trillion in improvement.
Yeah.
So we could basically
get down to like,
if we could do this, it would
700 billion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be 700 billion. Right. That'd be a huge, huge improvement. Right.
Right.
So if we did get to near balanced budgets, then I think it would slow the rise of gold. But because there's constant, demand for it, then it's still going up in price.
And by the way, I did another analysis, which I think you would appreciate because you've got 3 minutes left. I did an analysis on the dollar.
Yeah.
Do you know that the dollar is fine?
Mm-hmm.
The dollar is it's actually high compared to its average over time. And that's both on the small basket of currencies and the large basket of currencies.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And everybody's like, oh, the dollar. Well, they're talking about since the beginning of the year.
Right.
They're not talking about even the year-over-year number or over the last 5 years. So the dollar, quite frankly, is actually higher than its average over the last 10 or 20 years.
Against other countries, for sure.
Against other countries, yeah.
And then, the U.S. dominance in terms of, all the AI companies, all this new growth, like the top 20, 40 companies are all U.S. companies, other than TSMC.
And one, I guess the Saudi Aramco, and there's one company in Europe, I forget, but there's like only 3 companies out of the top 30, I think, that are not US. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, I got to let you go. You got things to do, places to go.
That's right. Okay. We'll talk later.
And it's been great talking to you.